that challenges in this sector are far from over. Just today in Soweto, some in Orlando East residents want to force Somalian, Pakistani and Ethiopian shop owners to shut down their operations immediately. I'm joined now by Kganki Matabane, Black Business Council CEO, for a discussion on this. Mr. Matabane, thank you for your time this afternoon. Very strong sentiments that are coming from locals when it comes to ownership of their economy. They want the shutdown of all foreign-owned businesses, whether they're legal or not. They want the barriers of formalization to also be cut down. How can this be achieved?
Good afternoon, Audrey, and good afternoon to Newzroom Afrika viewers. I think firstly we would like to acknowledge the progress made by government, especially when it comes to warehouses, because for us, spaza shops are basically just at the end of the food chain. The challenges are mainly caused by the warehouses where some goods are coming to the country without properly being monitored. So that is a good progress. As far as the people who are saying foreigners must go, for us it shows a lack of leadership by the municipalities and then government, because spaza shop ownership is not a rare skill, and we've been saying this, that we have an opportunity now with this crisis. As they say, you must never waste any crisis. We've got an opportunity to legislate that all spaza shop owners must be South Africans, and at least then we'll be able to deal with that, because in any country where you go to open a shop or a business, it must be in what is called scarce skills sector. If it's just any other spaza shop that any other South African can open, there's no justification for foreigners to be owning spaza shops in South Africa, especially with this high unemployment rate. Maybe if your unemployment rate was 1%, you can have that justification, but we've got a 42% unemployment rate, which means that almost half of the people who are supposed to be working, they're not working. And then a spaza shop is an easier way, because the barriers to entry are not that challenging. It's an easier way for us to get our people to be owning something, to be working, because if you've got a spaza shop, you can hire 1 or 2 people who will help you in the spaza shop. So the call by the residents it shows that a lack of foresight and leadership, because people are saying, but this is a very, very easy thing to do. Why has it been done by foreign nationals? I don't think it's xenophobia. I think it happens all over the world where easy things like this, hair salons, being waitresses, those are supposed to be done by South Africans without being discriminatory. When you go to another country, you have to show that you are a proper investor, where you are bringing money to that country. But it doesn't look like it's happening with the spaza shops.
Yeah, well, some would argue that are hoping to start these businesses, that outside of the complex licensing processes that they deem to be complicated, there's the issue of funding, because they're not just providing a service, they actually have to have goods that they can put in the spaza shops, and they say that is a huge barrier for them to be able to enter into this market. What kind of interventions do you think can be made? Also education on how to actually run this business, which I think is actually very crucial as well, when you look at people that are hoping to get into this market.
There are a lot of interventions, especially from the small business development, where they are providing funding for spaza shop owners. So you are right. I think maybe the department needs to go out more and share information so that people can have access. As far as the skills is concerned, remember, before 1994, we didn't have these foreign nationals in South Africa. These spaza shops were run by our fathers, our grandfathers. So the skills issue for me is not it's neither here nor there. You have people who grew up, people who were educated by people who were running spaza shops, so that can be easily be learned. So I think the challenge that needs to be dealt with as soon as possible is the issue of access to funding, because most of the spaza shop owners are not necessarily looking for millions. They are looking for like 50,000 there, 100,000 there, which is relatively very small. So I think that we will speak to the Minister of Small Business Development to get all his entities under him and under her that are dealing with funding to go out there and have an engagement with this spaza shop, so that information can be there, and then they can also process the applications as quickly as possible. As far as the registration is concerned, registration is very necessary, and it's not a tedious exercise. We've been exposed to it. It's just a basic registration to say for the spaza shop at this address, this is the registration. So we're encouraging our people to continue to register, and then also we're also saying those who are renting out those spaza shops to foreign nationals, they must not register those spaza shops on behalf of those foreign nationals, because when you are running a spaza shop and when you are owning a shop, there are two different things. When you are running a shop, the risks of anything happening in that shop then will be with you. So if you go and register a shop for someone else to run it and something happens, you are the ones who's going to go to jail. So we're encouraging our colleagues to say, let's make sure that we only register spaza shops that we are running. If we are not running those spaza shops, we are renting out those places, let those people who are renting in those places go and register.
So looking at what has transpired within the past couple of weeks, over 1,000 spaza shops have so far been shut down because of not being compliant. Others have argued that this drives business to big business and it makes the local township economy suffer. And by the time the spaza shops reopen, having complied with everything that is required with their registration, the customer trends would have changed. People would have been used to buying from big business and essentially killing the local economy.
Yeah, you're right. Hence, we're saying we're hoping that government, by the end of the 21 days, they will have registered everyone, because if you prolong this thing for too long, and if you're saying I'm sticking to the timeline and then after that I'm not registering anyone, you're actually encouraging people to start trading illegally. People will reopen their spaza shops and trade without papers, and then things will just get worse. So it's important that we do that, but we're also calling for big business, especially the big supermarket chains that I'm sure they are seeing a business opportunity with this, to say if they go to the townships and the rural areas, when they get there, they must make sure that the ownership of those shops accommodate the spaza shop owners, so that they are not going to just take the market and take it for themselves alone. They must invite all the spaza shop owners whose shops have been closed to be part of the shareholding and also working in those shops, because they are taking bread out of the spaza shop owners.
As part of your mandate as Black Business Council, you represent the interests of big business and making sure that they are properly represented in mainstream economy. When you look at the policies that have been formulated, just from your research, is there anything that needs to be tweaked, or is it just a matter of implementation of the laws and the acts that are currently in place to ensure that Black businesses are adequately represented?
There are instances where we need to tweak some of the legislation, but the bulk of the time is lack of implementation. And remember also, if you have never implemented anything, it's very difficult to even measure its impact. So if you look at, for example, the Broad-Based Black Economic Empowerment Act, it has not necessarily been implemented properly. So there's a need for acceleration, and We're happy that Minister Pakistani has indicated that we need to accelerate the implementation of the legislation. But when it comes to funding, there's a need to come up with new legislations that are going to establish funding institutions that are going to basically fully fund black businesses and small businesses. And then that comes from, for example, what the Afrikaners did when they took over. They utilize one of these institutions that are available, that were started by the Afrikaners to fund black business, to fund Afrikaner businesses. Hence, in the past, we had what we call Sambo Bank, we had Volkskas, we had Trust Bank in the past, because those were instruments that were funding, but not partly funding, but fully funding a Afrikaner business. So at the moment, we've got a challenge where, for example, if you need 100,000 for example, to fund for spaza shop, a financial institution is going to say to you, you need to have 10% from your own pocket. That is what is called skin in the game, or own contribution. And that is what basically makes life very, very difficult for black business, small business, women-owned business, youth-owned businesses to fully participate in the mainstream economy, because even if we are 30 years into democracy, many black people are still disadvantaged. The entire economic situation still excludes the majority. So it's important that we need to come up with some sort of a legislation that says we'll utilize enterprise development funds, we'll utilize the fines that the Competition Commission is imposing on companies that are investing in the country. We need to utilize some of the money from the PIC to start that big fund that will be able to fund black business, women-owned business, youth-owned businesses fully, rather than funding you 50% and then you must come up with the 50% from your own pocket.
Yeah, the issue always seems to be about funding. Very important conversation. And of course, just trying to make sure that those barriers are broken down for the marginalized communities, those that are disadvantaged, to have a piece of that. Prime Minister Kganki Matabane, Black Business Council Chief Executive Officer, talking to us on this issue.